Hi, welcome to Biz Jet TV. My name is Fabrizio Poli, and in this episode today, we're going to be talking about the Beech Starship, which is an interesting aeroplane built between 1988 and 1995. The reason why I'm covering this today is because now you can incorporate ADS-B in your Beech Starship. Very interesting airplane. We're going to cover the history of this aircraft, how it was ahead of its time, how maybe this now ADS-B is going to breathe some new life into the project. Who knows? And then towards the end of the episode, we're going to be covering the Piaggio P180 as well, and some news on that aircraft. And so let's get straight into it on these two interesting aircraft, very ahead of their time. And if you haven't subscribed to Biz Jet TV, I encourage you to subscribe. But enough from me now. Let's get straight into talking about these two incredible aircraft. Off we go. So the Beech Starship, as you can see, very, very cool looking aeroplane. Built between 1988 and 1995. They only produced 53 of these aircraft. Then unfortunately the project went kind of out the window. But this is the first aircraft which is built completely of composite material, so very light aircraft. Very interesting design, very ahead of its time, and very low operating costs. I mean, it's about $525 an hour in variable costs to fly this airplane. It carries 6 people. There are only 5 today which are still flying, but because of the opportunity now, as of a few days ago, to incorporate ADS-B in this aircraft, this is allowing these 5 aircraft which are still out there flying to continue flying, and potentially maybe to go out there and acquire some of those that aren't flying and make them airworthy again. But this is a project which I think could actually be resurrected if you were to upgrade the avionics and that. There may be an opportunity there because this is a very cool looking aeroplane, very modern, very futuristic, which is why it's called Starship. I really like the shape. I think it's really cool. I mean, it flies at 335 knots, so it's very fast for a turboprop. Has a range of about just over 1,300 nautical miles, which is good. It carries 6 people, so it's a very useful aeroplane. Can be used for business. And worthwhile looking into and for the future. And I hope maybe one of you are looking at investing in an aviation project, and this may be one for you. But I think this is a piece of aviation history where they were ahead of their time in the design, in the composite materials and whatever, and that's probably why this airplane, the project then failed, because it was too ahead of its time. Now, as well as the Beech Starship, there's another interesting airplane which is still flying today. They made 220 of these aircraft. It's the Piaggio P180. Again, another airplane ahead of its time. A turboprop, actually flies 100 knots faster than a King Air. So it's got a cruising speed of 320 knots. Sometimes it can go up to 400 knots depending on what's happening, with a range of 1,740 nautical miles, which is more than the Starship on the range wise. Very interesting looking. This is built mixture of aluminium and composite materials. The company have recently gone bust and is for sale. The challenge with this airplane, I'll be very honest with you, is if you do operate them, and there's quite a few people in the United States that operate these airplanes, is when something does go wrong, is getting the spare parts. So if anybody were to buy the Piaggio 180 project, my recommendation would be to take the company away from Italy, take it to the United States, and manufacture 100% of the airplane and the spare parts in the United States, and build enough spare parts so that you can then sustain those that will buy the airplane, that when something does go wrong, you can get the spare part to them quickly. Because it has happened to a number of owners of this aircraft that have had the airplane grounded for 2-3 months because they're waiting for spare parts. And this is one of the reasons why the project failed. Again, it was a bit of ahead of its time, but this is an airplane which is currently can still be manufactured, and they have upgraded the avionics and that. It's got a very quiet cabin, the way the propellers are designed and being right at the back, as you can see, similar to the Starship. So it is an air, and it's got a large cabin. Believe me, I mean the cabin in the Piaggio 180 is a lot larger than the CJ1, CJ2, these jets, which it kind of competes with. And of course, being a turboprop, it can land on grass, so there's a lot more airports available. So it is someone to look at, as an airplane and as a project. it is worthwhile looking into. Now, how much does it cost to operate this? It's just under $1,200 an hour to operate this. This is variable cost, of course. You have to then factor in the fixed cost. But you know, right now, the danger if you buy one of these airplanes is not being able to find the spare parts when you need them. So that's kind of a bit of a challenge. But you know, if an investor were to come in and go for this project and do it properly, get the right team on board, take this project to the United States, which is a very friendly environment for aviation and for building aircraft, and build these in the US and build enough spare parts, I think this could actually start turning into winning. Because there's 220 of these which are already out there, and so some of those airplanes which may be parked at the moment could be resurrected. So you know, there is a business to, you know, maintain those that already exist as well as build new ones. The price tag on this for new one is about $7.7 million. So it's an interesting number there. Maybe that number could be brought down if manufacturing were done in the United States. I don't know. That's something that needs to be looked into. But anyway, that's all on these two aircraft from me on this episode. I invite you to have a look at this other episode here about would you swap this for your Gulfstream for this airplane, which is or flying machine. It looks like a flying saucer. It's a very interesting project which is being developed. I encourage you to go and have a look at that episode. And then this other episode here on the TBM 940, which is an interesting turboprop, which is brand new. Lots of interesting features, including the auto throttle, which is one to have a look at. So have a look at these other two episodes of Biz Jet TV. And of course, subscribe if you haven't done so already. And also, I'd like to hear your comments about the Beech Starship. What do you think? Have you ever flown one? Have you ever owned one, or do you own one? What's your take on it? Also on the Piaggio P180, what's your take on this airplane? What do you think? What's your experience with it? And that's really all from Fabrizio Poli here on Biz Jet TV, and I'll see you on the next one.